Hello Brazil! Greetings from Singapore. We are having a fantastic weather today. I hope you are having a beautiful day over at your side. I'm Dr. Samson Tan, the head of Center for Innovation in Learning at the National Institute of Education, an institute of the Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. You will have noticed by now that I am using Microsoft AI-powered translator to translate my talk into Portuguese. I hope it is doing a good job. If you find any hilarious mistake, please forgive Microsoft. Without further ado, let's get started with the talk. The title of my talk is The Future of Education in a Post-COVID-19 World. Since we are talking about COVID-19, let's take a look at the situation. Right, thanks to Johns Hopkins University, which is tracking the geography of COVID-19. At the time of the recording of this presentation, we are seeing more than 225 million people infected by COVID-19, of which more than 4.6 million people died of this disease. This is a terrible disease. This is not something that we take lightly. While the situation is dire, I believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. Let's take a look at the impact of COVID-19 on our lives. According to the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, the world economy is experiencing the worst recession since the Great Depression because of the Great Lockdown. For perspective, the global financial crisis in 2009 has resulted in a drop of negative 0.1% in the global real GDP. Comparing that with the Great Lockdown, as IMF calls it, there is a negative 3.0 staggering drop in the global real GDP growth. So not only that the COVID-19 has affected our global economy, it has also affected many aspects of our life, including education. So according to the World Economic Forum, by April 2020, over 1.6 billion students were out of the classroom. That is, including of K-12 as well as the higher education. And we remember how we scrambled to move many of our lessons on face-to-face to online. So in the midst of all this gloom and doom, one may ask, is this nothing to look forward to? Is there any silver lining or an opportunity that we can seize? Let's take a look. The word crisis in Chinese is made out of two characters. It's called wei ji. The one on the left is called wei, meaning danger. The one on the right is called ji, meaning opportunity. So when you put the two of them together, it means that there's opportunity in a dangerous situation. So you may ask, what kind of opportunity do we have in this dreadful situation? Let's take a look at some data from the international body. First of all, let's look at World Bank. World Bank has observed that there has been an acceleration of digital transformation across the board, where organization is trying to bridge the digital divide. McKinsey & Company has observed that the COVID-19 situation has accelerated the digitizations of customer interaction by several years. Globally, they see it easily 3 years. Asia Pacific, even faster, 4 years. Also, they find that company across many industry looking at whose Industry 4.0 implementation has become more mature, has reported a stronger ability to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Another research agency, IDC, has observed that the COVID-19 outbreak brings about 10 major potential ICT opportunities. So ranging from the intelligent use of technology in governance, then you look at city planning, healthcare systems, businesses, supply chains, and of course, education in the form of online learning, classroom. It is observed that there has been a distinctive rise of online learning worldwide, whereby teaching is undertaken remotely and on digital platform. Baiju is an India-based, the world's most highly valued education technology company, and there are also a few examples in China, everywhere across the world. I believe in Brazil as well. Another research agency, Holon IQ, has estimated that the world global higher education market is valued at $2.2 trillion US. And mind you, it's just higher education market. They are not even looking at the K-12 section. So with that, Kendry wrote an article in the World Economic Forum, and he predicts that the market is ripe for disruption, meaning that he thinks that students has gotten used to online learning because of the COVID-19 lockdown. So he has this idea that the adoption of online learning solutions can take a very different turn from what he has observed. So he has something to say about the kind of work that teachers have been putting online. He called that the first aid solution. Because we had been doing, what has been happening is that there's a wholesale translation of the face-to-face class to what he calls a remote instruction or remote teaching. Not the most ideal, of course. So for that, he see that there's opportunity over here to train educators to do better design and better development of online learning. So he continues to say that, well, in a very dramatic manner, that there is a time for the rebirth of our education systems. Well, it is a bit dramatic, but I think that there's opportunity for changes. Some even think about improvement in the use of digital tools. But I like what Martin Barbero talked about. There's a need to change a virtual culture, and for leaders in education institutions to adopt an innovative mindset. I think that is important. So how do you develop this digital transformation, this virtual culture? According to Martin Barbero, so he finds that the answer lies in leveraging learning sciences to start to make use of the kind of education technologies, tools and platforms to produce better, much better learning outcomes. Basically, what he's trying to say over here is that pedagogy reigns supreme, is that there are, in fact, many different types of education technologies that can be used to support better ways of teaching and learning. So please hold on to that. And that, a lot of that, it boils down to a lot of convergence of the new emerging technologies that we are seeing right now, including data analytics that is stated over here. So I'm going to shift gear over here and translate a little bit to about the workplace itself, coming from the perspective of the World Economic Forum. As if you have not realized by now, World Economic Forum publish this Future of Jobs report every now and then. So the latest one was published at the end of 2020. Of course, when you look at the future of jobs, it's interrelated to education, because we need to train our students, we need to teach our students to get to the workplace. Not surprisingly, World Economic Forum reported that COVID-19 is pushing companies to scale remote work, because we realize that we are able to do some of the works online, and to accelerate digitalization. So many of the processes has to go digital by the situation required that, and we realize that we can do it well. And then, of course, to accelerate automation, which was happening very quickly even before COVID-19. But during COVID-19, it's even faster. So when companies were asked what are the technologies they are likely to adopt by 2025, these are the top technologies that companies are looking at. I'm going to highlight two main ones which I think will have a tremendous impact on not just businesses, but also on every other aspect of our life, including education. One of them is big data analytics. We talk about that. It has been used in education for quite some time. Learning analytics, in that sense, the data itself feeds another technology, artificial intelligence, and enable machine learning, which is inclusive of machine learning as well as natural language processing. Also, not surprisingly, if you look at the top 10 emerging jobs, you'll realize that no prize for guessing, right? The top is data analysts and scientists, followed by a close second, which is AI and machine learning specialists. I tell you the truth, I can't hire people with AI and machine learning specialists for the longest time. And at this point of time, some of us may be wondering, what does AI got to do with me? And I don't need AI for teaching and learning. I have education technologies to help us, and some of this, that's enough. But let's take a look at how AI has quietly been changing our lives, even when we don't realize it. So you look at manufacturing, gaming, governance, I talk about healthcare, automobiles, businesses, and education. So you may be starting to wonder, how did that happen? Let's take a look at a few examples. Shopping? Who doesn't like shopping, right? Especially online shopping recently. Recently, I've been doing a lot of that. I'm not sure whether about you over in Brazil, what are the kind of platforms that you use. But over here in Singapore, we have several platforms that are pretty popular now. Obviously, Amazon is big, is worldwide. We have that in Singapore. There's another one which I like very much, and I'm using a lot of that. It's called Lazada. It's a company that is backed by Alibaba from China. And then there's another company called Shopee, which is growing at a tremendous speed. It was founded in Singapore and grew very quickly in the region. Interestingly, I was told this morning when I was watching the business news that Shopee has one of the fastest growth rates, in Brazil. And I'm not sure whether there are any one of us over here has been using Shopee for shopping, online shopping. So whichever platform that you're using, the interesting thing is this. Now, do you realize that in shopping, in online shopping, somehow or rather, they know exactly what we are interested in. They know exactly what to push to us. They even send reminders to tell us that they have missed us. There are several items that are in our shopping cart not checked out yet. Yeah, all this is about data analytics. It's about the machine learning algorithms at the back, tracking and observing our behaviors and hinting and suggesting to us about changing our shopping behavior. Another example is smart home. Some of us may be IT savvy enough or has been experimenting with putting gadgets in the home. You'll find that there are artificial intelligence that can help us to manage our home more efficiently. For example, you can be adjusting our lighting, our temperature, our security cam, and anything that can be connected to a machine can be automated and managed by our artificial intelligence. There are several brands out there. Some of us would know Amazon has this Alexa, and then we have Google Assistant. Then if you are Apple user, you have Siri. So whichever one of them, they have very similar functions about managing our homes using artificial intelligence. You must be wondering, if we can have smart home, what about smart school? Quite obviously, there are some technology company has been touting how smart school looks like. It can help you to take your attendance. It can help you to manage your physical things, lighting and temperature and all sorts of that as well. But one may even start to think about, is that all about using technology, just physical? And if you are asking those questions, you are right. There are a lot more to smart school, in my opinion, than just about adjusting temperature and lighting. It's best that we take reference from the well-known, trustworthy organization. One which you can refer to would be UNESCO. UNESCO takes a more humanistic approach when it comes to applying artificial intelligence in education. So humans in education, who they are, in my opinion, you look at it, is at the center should be the students or learners. Then of course you have the teachers who are teaching them. So teachers and students. If we want to expand that, of course we need to include the parents and the community as well. But essentially teachers and parents. Yeah. So how do we go about doing that? So I'd like to introduce you to the work of Baker and Smith. They have a very good way of categorizing how AI can be applied in education. There are many more other research as well, but I like this very much. First of all, you can look at learning from the point of view of the system, learning-oriented AI in education. So that means looking at personalized learning for students, adapting to their needs. And the second way that you can categorize artificial intelligence is what we call instructor-oriented AIED. So looking into the administrative procedures, the assessment, plagiarism detection, even providing feedback to students. And the third and the final one is institutional system-oriented AI in education. So basically you can look at enrollment and attrition patterns of students. What about Singapore, you may ask? Singapore, we have embarked on a wide-ranging national AI projects. One of the highest focus is about education, also in the three aspects over here. So similarly, personalized learning and adapting it to tailor it to each student's individual strengths and weaknesses, so the machine can help us to do that. The second one, which I find that that's really value-adding to teachers, is automated marking system, right? So for teachers to spend less time on the onerous routine assessment tasks like marking, so that the teachers can spend more time to guide students in learning more effectively through the use of data. And the data-driven approach, they can produce more insights for teachers to guide the students. And the third part, which I find that that's the most interesting part, is AI learning companion for students. This is as an intelligent virtual partner that is non-judgmental, so that students are not embarrassed to ask questions that may put them in the awkward situations. That we hope that will produce growth mindset in the students and seriously and honestly nurture the joy of learning. At this point of time, some of us may feel uncomfortable about working with machines. I often get this kind of questions from teachers when I give talks. They said they are worried that the machine will take over teachers' job. And they're asking whether that will really happen. To answer their questions, I always use the next slide and tell a story. This is a real report that happened in 2019. A Chinese schoolgirl was shamed after she was found using a robot to do her homework. When the news broke online, everybody wants to get one. So the backstory to that is this now. Now, according to this report, school children in schools in China were made to copy text, passages or poems when they learn the Chinese languages, the Chinese language itself. They had to copy it hundreds of times, and so this girl find that it is really boring and it's not really adding value to her learning. So she got fed up and bought a machine that can copy those texts. But it's not just any machine. This machine is intelligent enough to even mimic her handwriting, so that she could get away with that and have more time to play and do other things. So you must be wondering, if she got away with that, who blew the whistle? Well, it's actually the mother who found her out and blew it. So the moral of the story over here is not ask your students to buy a machine to cheat. The moral of the story is about us as teachers. If we continue to teach with ineffective pedagogy, like what we read over here, it is little wonder that a robot can take over the kind of work that students are doing, and it's not value adding. So what we should be really looking at is how this machine, this technology can support us. The artificial intelligence can help to enhance the nurturing of the human intelligence. I think that's the important thing to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm running out of time. So with this, I've come to the end of my presentation. I'm looking forward to have more questions and interaction with you. Thank you very much.